Okay, so I will continue the presentation today with one about Stefano Boeri, who was born on the 25th of November, but not this year, of course, and another architect from the United States born on the same day. But let's talk first about Stefano Boeri, an important Italian architect. So Stefano Boeri is an Italian architect, an urban planner. I think he was born in 1956, if I'm not wrong. Yes, you see, born in Milan in 1956 on November 25th, founding partner of Stefano Boeri Architetti. He earned a master's degree in architecture from the Polytechnic University of Milan and a PhD in architecture in 1989 from the Institute of or university, I don't know, is the school, University of Venice. Is the only actually architectural university in Italy, the one in Venice. Among the most known projects are the vertical forest in Milan, the Villa Mediterrane in Marseille, and the House of the Sea of La Maddalena. The vertical forest in Milan. So there are these two towers here. Now he is building something similar also in China, and I think he's even in Albania is building something. So just these two are his that are covered with grass, with green in Milan. And you know, yes, his architecture now is very popular because of the the concern with bringing the green into our buildings, and now the forest is climbing the elevations of our buildings in our despair to recuperate some of the lost oxygen. I guess we are forced into this. I'm not very sure that this is, but then what can we do? We need the trees, the bushes, the grass. We need them. And now, since the human being attacked nature in increasingly dangerous ways, what can we do? We bring nature back on our balconies, climbing the elevations with what we call vertical forests. But aren't forests supposed to be vertical? I'm not sure about it. Anyway, they are not bad buildings, and they are done rather skillfully. There are other architects who work in similar ways. But the truth is, we didn't ask the trees what they feel, being planted on concrete. I once talked with a French architect about this, and he said, we know there are studies, science did investigate in how much a tree, is accommodating itself on a balcony, and apparently, the tree does not protest. But I don't know. It's something about it, Although, again, what Stefano Boeri did here is one of the best architectures that assumed the vertical forest. And I imagine, some beneficial results of this climbing of the building with green did result. I like to think so. I like to hope so. It's almost a fashion now to do this sort of thing. But he was one of the very first, and he probably, in terms of design, was able to create the so-called vertical forest in the most pleasing and convincing way. I imagine these buildings are not very inexpensive. To bring all that green, at those heights and on all those balconies and so on, it's an expensive enterprise. But what can we do? We raised the forest, and now we bring it back in some form. And this is what Stefano Boeri thought of. He built other buildings, and we are going to see a few of them. It's not going to be a very large a presentation about him, but an introduction to his work. He was also the editor-in-chief of an important Italian architecture and design magazine, Domus, for a number of years. He taught a very active presence on the Italian scene. So this project is called Vertical Forest. It is in Milan, and it's possible that new such buildings will be built, not just in Italy, but everywhere. Because yes, we need to fight pollution, and we need to fight climate change and so on. I wonder what these trees, on Earth, think of the brothers and sisters on the elevations of this tower, and vice versa. What these trees feel and think of their brothers and sisters on the Earth. Of course, I ask a question which is totally non-scientific or objective even, what do you mean? What does a tree think or feel? But, I still belong to the fascination with the magic of the octagon and number 8. And I like to fantasize that a tree perhaps does have feelings and thoughts, and we just don't know what those are. But I have to say, when I visited some years ago Tivoli, I wanted to see Villa Adriana by the great Emperor Adrian, close to Rome. And on my way towards there, I came across incredibly dramatic olive trees. I was so fascinated by the olive trees. I had the feeling that they were wise, that they were seeing through me, that they were knowing me much better than I knew myself. I filmed them for about 2 hours. I even forgot about Villa Adriana. And I still wonder, what did I see in those trees? Why did I think that they were seeing through me, that they were knowing me? I had the feeling they were very wise. And only later I learned that actually olive trees are some of the oldest trees in the world, that they live for a very, very, very long time. Anyway, by the way of trees, I love trees, and I think we need more trees in the world, more trees, all for the better. Villa Mediterrane in Marseille. Now there are no trees here. It's an ambitious cantilevered building. Also by Stefano Boeri. La Villa Mediterrane is a large public building which houses research, documentation, and projects that concern the contemporary condition of the Mediterranean Sea. The building is located on the docks of the port of Marseille, next to the Museum of Mediterranean History, promoted by the French state in collaboration with the city. What can I say? Another modern building. It's okay, I guess, but I don't know if I would evaluate it with more than just an okay. Sure, but there is a but here. I think, in Milan, he covered his buildings with a lot of green. Here he uses an extensive surface of glass, which is known of being very deficient in terms of energy consumption. And yet he uses it because Yes, we can, because the demagogy of glass turns very few people off, unfortunately. Too much glass in the world, in my opinion. And it's known that where you have large surfaces of glass, there is a lot of loss in terms of energy. Implicitly, it provokes, it amplifies the pollution of the world, because then you need the mechanisms to produce energy in order to compensate for the, you know, the problems generated by such large surfaces of glass. But we still think the glass is, you know, through its transparency, is creating a union between us and the world, and it's not so. It is just the illusion, in my opinion. Anyway, it's an okay building with a little bit of drama, but still, I would say, a rather rationalistic building, which, besides this, you know, cantilever part, is not very surprising in the good sense of the word. Now, the House of the Sea, test description provided by the architects, part of the whatever 1,550,000 square meters recovery and restructuring project aimed at creating a public and mixed-use complex surrounding the harbor of the ex-military arsenale at the Maddalena. House of the Sea is a glass, again, glass and glass and glass, and basalt prism that cantilevers over the water. Almost 2,000 square meters. The new construction hosts a large event and conference hall suspended 6 meters above water that looks out towards the extraordinary panorama of the Gallura. It's like the other building. It's very similar, at least from you know, from the air. The interior, yes, is a little bit different because of the, and I think it's skillfully done in terms of a modernistic language. And I like the fact that some kind of ornamentation is present here, but we cannot in any way pretend to have an ornamentation to compete with the complexities and the beauty of those Islamic ornaments that we saw earlier. Well, you know, this is what we look at here is the assault of man on nature, on the world, extending himself, man, the measure of all things, you know, even on the water. And do you see trees here? Not too many. They were all cut down for the so-called human progress. Well, but again, I like this embroidered part of the project, which brings in some sensitivity, and I'm glad he did it. The veiled building, because that's what it is. It is a veiled building on this side, at least. And there might be an octagon here too, or at least a hexagon. But I think it is an octagon. I didn't think of it. Anyway. Stefano Boeri. He is a skillful architect. Yeah. But these cantilever parts are actually an easy way out of what otherwise might have been a little bit too predictable. Too often now we rely on cantilever part in order to bring some, you know, excitement, so to speak, to the building. In my opinion, it's not a very, Louis Kahn didn't have any cantilevers in his Dhaka complex, and his architecture cannot be dismissed as being, you know, without interest. Anyway, but again, I welcome the return of the ornamentation. And this embroidered part, as I call it, is, I think, a plus in this project. Now, Stefano Boeri, we are approaching the end. Stefano Boeri completes the new entrance and walkway at Rome's Domus Aurea, where actually there is an octagonal room that was built by the Emperor Nero for himself, which is considered, I read, the most important room from Roman times that is still exists, and it was remade. I mean, the structure was there. Too bad I don't have pictures with it here, but this is the project, the intervention of Stefano Boeri. I like the fact that he is resolutely, modern, is crisp, is sharp, is even a little bit impertinent, but I like the dialectics between the cave-like interior and the astute geometry of his intervention. So has inserted an entrance kiosk and pedestrian walkway that provides access to subterranean rooms within Rome's historic Domus Aurea Palace. The new entrance is situated within Oppian Hill Park and connects with the whole walkway that leads to the spectacular octagonal room almost 6 meters below. Unfortunately, I don't have the pictures with that room yet in this presentation. Anyway, so this is his intervention, just the walkways in Domus Aurea. And now I end the presentation on Stefano Boeri with a project he did to design the largest rehabilitation center in Shenzhen in China. I'll just read a little bit about it. Architecture firm led by Italian Stefano Boeri has won the competition to build the largest and most innovative rehabilitation center for people with cognitive disabilities or reduced mobility in the Longhua district of the city of Shenzhen, China. Proposal by Stefano Boeri Architetti was selected by a jury whose members included Peter Cook and Su Fujimoto. Located in the southeast of China, the development will be sited next to an urban park and directly connected to the city's light mobility system. Planned to be built in the next 3 years. This is a very recent project by Stefano Boeri. The project has terraces covered with greenery, with aromatic herbs and healing plants, including workspaces and spaces for educational, recreational, artistic, and sports activities, as well as a museum and accommodation. A set of green terraces and overlapping spaces in a sustainable system combining nature, architecture, and biodiversity, and including internal gardens dedicated to rehabilitation. Here is the building, not a very modest building, but maybe this is good, I don't know. It is an impressive building, almost expressionistic, although, the grid of the facade is not easily relatable to expressionism, but the silhouette of the building is, and the dialectics between, almost red and the green of nature creates an additional sense of dynamic context. China is remarkable, is leading the world in the field of architectural innovations. Bravo to them. And they are wise enough to invite architects from all over the world to build there. something we don't do. Why? I don't know. We probably think we have nothing to learn.